I got a call the other day. The customer was like, oh my God, concrete guys are coming. They're gonna be here tomorrow. And I couldn't get here while they were pouring the slab inside, but they're just now running the power trowel over it and getting it finished. So I'll take you in here and I'll show you kind of how that turned out and kind of explain to you, give you that explanation as to how they did it, and maybe it'll make sense now that it's all done. So hopefully this looks familiar to you guys. If not, go check out the last build series. These guys have done some concrete for us in the past, do a pretty good job. Now, first off, I'll take you out here on the outside. This is going to be a little bit of a parking, spot for the customer to park his trailer. And what my customer did was ran some rigid foam on the outside of the building. And so that's what the concrete's going to get poured up against. They've dug down and put in this rigid foam insulation. This is a 1-inch foam, and it's just going to give you a little bit more R-value protection from the slab inside. But as you know, behind this is our grade board. So we've got 4 inches of a treated grade board, and then you've got this 1-inch foam that goes down about 1 foot. Now obviously our building is on a concrete pier, so we're below the frost line anyway, just trying to reduce the amount of frost that goes underneath that slab. So what the customer has done is cut around the piers. So that is an unfortunate side effect of the pier, is unless you do a full concrete wall, you're gonna have those breaks because you got the pier to deal with, so you can't just pour your insulation all the way down. But if you remember, in the build, there was all these gaps underneath here. Well, now what they've done is they've filled the gravel on the inside, brought that up to grade, and now the concrete has been poured. You can definitely see that it's all sealed off. Your finished grade, dirt, whatever will get brought up against this. That'll kind of finish it off. So what we've got going on here is this customer went ahead and did a radiant floor in here, which means they've got the water lines, not really water, but a PEX tubing that goes underneath this concrete, and that will be the source of heat. So all of the tubes, they zigzag back and forth. I'll go ahead and throw a picture here that the customer sent me. I did not, like I said, get back up here before the concrete guys made it up, but there's a radiant tube that runs in a nice pattern, and that's going to heat the floor. It's really a nice source of heat because heat rises. So when you've got this big concrete slab, and in the middle of the winter you heat that slab up with that radiant heat, it's super comfortable. So if you're a type of guy that likes to work on their cars, which this guy does, or you're just going to be in your shop and on the ground and just don't want air blowing around, you've really only got 2 good options. You've got radiant heat in the slab, and then you've also got a radiant tube heater. Now, a lot of my customers will typically go for a radiant tube heater because it's a lot less cost. They work very well, but all that heat has to come down from the ceiling, which naturally heat wants to go up. You'll feel a lot warmer when you're standing on a radiant slab versus being in a building with a radiant tube heater. Now, I have a tube heater in my building. I built my building before I really learned a whole lot. The other thing is money. I didn't have the money at the time to do it. I do think that my building heats very efficiently, but I really wish that my heat was coming from the floor, because whenever I'm out there, you can feel the heat at your head a lot more than you can at your feet. So it's just, it's a very nice feeling to have a heated slab over a heated ceiling. I know a lot of people wanted to see this thing with concrete in it, and I will try to get back here. I'm actually working fairly close by, so I wanted to get back here while I could and show a little bit of the process. They started pouring this at about 6 or 7 this morning. Right now it's about 2 o'clock, 1:30. So it's hard enough that they can work on it. They can get it all troweled up nice. And man, this is gonna be great. One of the things that's really important is this slope right here. And this is something that some guys don't take a lot of time to do, but this looks like it's going to be great when the door closes right here. All that water is going to come down and it's going to run out. So many times I see a flat concrete here and that's such a bad idea. So this is going to get a couple saw cuts all the way across, and then probably one down the middle. Pretty much a necessity. One pour, that's always a good way to do it. So I'm not going to be here for the rest of this. I got to get back to the job site, but they got a truck coming and they're going to pour this slab outside next. I got the GoPro set up, so hopefully I'll get some footage for you. I'm not a concrete guy. I don't pretend to be. I don't know a whole lot, but one concrete guy once told me there's 3 things I'm going to guarantee you about concrete. 1, it's going to get hard, really hard. 2, it's going to crack. And 3, it's going to look good from Ashton, because that's where he lived. So it'll always look good from his house. I don't know if I agree with all that. It should crack, but you should never see it because it should be on those cut lines, which they are going to cut this. So it should look really good. Just came back over to the job site here. Wanted to get over once this concrete was hard. This tells me the customers are already enjoying this. He's got his hot rod in here. Job site radio. It's perfect. So this is all going to get epoxied. So they didn't make this a super smooth finish. So remember here we went with our thermally broken jamb and thermally broken slab door. We've got our insulated windows trimmed out with some nice New Zealand pine, sorry. Put a nice coat of stain on those. Got the 3/4 plywood walls, R19 insulation in this thing. Let me go ahead and turn the radio down just a little. Now you guys can all see here on the building what we've got is surface mount electrical. So this was all ran after the fact, and it makes it a lot easier, especially when the customer is looking to, you know, maybe do things as he goes, so he can add on to the electrical service. There will be surface mount conduit ran around the building for his outlets, as well as his lights in the ceiling. We've got our garage door here. This is a CHI garage door, and LiftMaster jack shaft operator, which means that's actually operating right on the shaft of the door where the springs are. So that way it keeps everything clean when the door is closed. I'll go ahead and close it. You'll hear how quiet it is. So you can see there's nothing up here, typically you're gonna have all of your spring mount, and then your opener is gonna be on a track here. There's no trolley there, so that's nice. Look how bright it is in here, even though there's no lights. So now that the concrete is done, you guys can see, if you remember, we did that base trim at the bottom of our plywood, and that gave the concrete guys something to pour to. They poured up against our grade board that was around the perimeter, and that afforded them a nice form to pour to. It keeps this slab floating, and it does have the radiant tubes underneath. We've got the R38 blown in the ceiling, and this shop is basically ready to go. As soon as spring comes, there's gonna be an approach poured out here, and that'll connect to this nice little walk over here where they can park some, trailers, stuff like that. If you remember, we did the Versetta stone. You can really see that turned out really sharp. Big fan of that. That's a cast concrete stone, so it's panelized. You can see here, this is a, moth. This is a panel right there to there. Does a really good job kind of masking those panels. We've got a Simonton window. That's a low E glass. And yeah, just really happy how this one turned out. They did a whitewash on the walls. They did a nice little stain on the windows. and then they're gonna do an epoxy on the floor. You know, I don't know. I don't want to keep bugging these guys. They're awesome customers. They've been really good. And so if I can, I will get back up here and I'll show you guys the epoxy, but no promises. I just wanted to show you really what this thing looks like when it's finished, the way the concrete is done, and it really is a great affordable option for any time that you're looking to add some good storage, you know, to your property. It's a good affordable way to have a nice, solid, efficient space. So there you go. There's some good finished pictures, concrete's in, and customers are pretty darn happy. Now let's go ahead and get that drone in the air and let's get some pics from the air, because just, you know, sometimes the scale is always a little bit nicer to see from the air. Just got this new Mavic 2. I think I've talked about it a little bit if you follow me on Instagram. It is amazing. It's the zoom, and it's just phenomenal. The quality of video, the quality of pictures, so much better than the original Mavic, which was amazing. You know, it was amazing right up until this one came out, I guess. I'll go ahead and I'll throw a link down below if you guys are interested in upping your drone game. Go check it out. That'd be awesome. But let's get this thing in the air. Well, that's a good one. That's a wrap. Catch you guys on the next one. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you're notified next time we start a new series.